y'all know what it is. Y'all are tuned in at the right place at the right time on Black Power Media. This is the Remix Morning Show, that boom bap breakfast giving you what you love. Right here, right now, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and your host for the day, Dr. Jared Ball, Kamal K. Franklin, and Kalanji Jamachanga. Let's go, y'all.
Martin,
what's up?
Martin, boy, what you doing now? Roland Martin now bumped his noggin.
He was a friend of mine.
He was a friend of mine. rolling on the river. Roland Martin bugging, y'all. Shout out to everybody that dragged me into this conundrum. You know what I'm saying? Got Roland Martin talking about smacking people. You know what I'm saying?
There he is.
Yeah, that guy over there.
Rolly stepped. I understand. Like Rolly just stepped into the lane. What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think? He's gonna take his little BMW and go in the wrong lane. I don't think you know who they are.
He must be driving drunk.
They ain't got no insurance. We don't mind bumping cars.
You know what I'm saying? No insurance.
To smash up somebody's BMW. You know what I'm saying?
Like TV. Word. I just got a new hoopty just to crash.
I'm like, what? What? I'm ready. I'm ready for the accident. I'm ready to walk out the car and walk away.
Yo, I'm just saying, man. I woke up, dude, talking about some what do you say about when a fool say something, I smack a fool. I'm like, whoa, like, go ahead, Martin. Get your ass pushed back.
Hold on, let him know what happened. Let him know what happened.
I was going to say, let's just back up and first say good morning, greetings, everybody. Welcome. Shout out to everybody joining us here at the Remix Morning Show for some boom bap breakfast. And we're just recapping the response to the clip that was posted on our channel that started with Kamal and myself having a brief, and I thought light and pun intended, fun conversation about Roland Martin and some other things, right? And then the clip goes out, and I think I'm not exactly sure how he ended up getting tagged. He got tagged in it, and then he responded by accusing with a shot at how few views we had. He was something like, oh, only 900 and some views. Ha 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 ha. And then BKK. Wait, that way. BKK jumped out there.
He's a Canarsie.
And Roland took the bait, and then it was just a thumping of sorts. It felt like a virtual jumping of some kind. But he ended up responding to every single tweet that any of us and others put out, and it was just a flurry of nonsense. Just everything that just confirms all the different politics that are at the base of all of this, I think.
Yeah,
but anyway, it was fascinating. It was
what's crazy about it. I'm on the night shift. You know what I'm saying? Take my little nap, wake up, and I see somebody tweeting, and I'm like, oh, it's bowling ball head. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And I see a barrage of tweets coming at the guards. I was confused. But then I realized Kamal got it started or whatever, so that's what, you know.
But it was funny that he did have that line about slapping fools or something like that.
I was like, Miles did not get it started. Roland got it started by stepping out of his lane.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This dude supposedly, and then he doesn't even know what his job is. He's like, why y'all watching me? Like, do your job. It's like, that's your job. You're the journalist. All you do all day is supposed to be reporting on what happens in the world. Well, you think you're a journalist. What happens in the world and what's going on. You talk about people all day. All of a sudden, you notice. And the reason he noticed it, because he's an egomaniac, and he's doing what all egomaniacs do. He's scouring the internet for mentions of his name. And he can't even stop his little short stack ass from replying. So he's got to say something back. I was like, who are you? Who are you?
I mean, but
a corporate propagandist.
But he tried to play us with the number of views.
He said something in one of his tweets. He said something like it's in his dad and mom worked at the community center and it's in his blood. I'm like, are you
Right.
pulling out? I was like, are you pulling out? That's your heritage? That's what you pulling out for me?
Wow. Okay, cool.
Your parents volunteered once or twice? What?
But it is also, but to a certain extent, I take it as part of my job, literally, as to be critical of and assess the media environment, including news and media that specifically targets Black audiences. So it is to a certain extent mine or our collective business to be aware of what others are saying and how they're reporting it, and then we do our thing and blah 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 blah. But I think it's interesting that what he said back to me was calling for an engagement with the critical media literacy work that I and colleagues and we, I think, do here collectively, which is where I made mention of him being a commercial media, having had 30 years of head start on us in working in commercial media. His response was to say that he only worked for 6 years at CNN and then worked all the rest of these years for Black-owned media, specifically TV One and the Tom Joyner Morning Show. I have a lot more to come back to say about that, but the short part is, the shortest of it is that this is exactly the point. So as I responded to him to say, Black ownership does not mean it's not commercial, that it's not mainstream, and it's not driven by ad revenue that comes from the white corporate world. So that's a piece of media literacy and critical media literacy that we literally go over in our classes. So anyway, but he didn't catch the distinction and didn't understand the distinction and wanted to fall back on.
He understands. Yeah, he understands, but it's being in denial. Again, white media are the ventriloquists for Black media. You know what I'm saying? So we know that these dummies continue to blurt out whatever is being told. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the flavor of the month. It's like you go to the edge of the line, and you it's like the little dog and the big dog. The little dog's in the fence talking trash, but when that gate open, it all changes. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is a real pit bull that I'm going up against. You know what I mean?
It'd have been good if there was some element of wanting to have a discussion about the issue, but that's not what he did. He started off with his little corny bombs, and it's like,
right.
And by the way, the clip what we were talking about wasn't that. I mean, it was not like a heavy criticism. We weren't dissing him or calling him out his name. I mean, it was more or less I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that deep. But I don't know that he even watched it. I'm not sure that he watched it.
Oh, he watched it. No,
you think he watched it?
The dude was counting views. He watched
That's a good point.
He's counting views. He's watching. He heard his name. He's checking it out. I didn't call him troll once in the whole interview. I didn't call him a little fat troll. I know you can't say that no more, but I didn't call him that.
That's mean.
I don't even understand why he came out trying to blast.
You don't
body shame.
Yeah,
can't body shame bubblehead. But listen, but the thing is, man, we ain't tripping. My thing is, he said we only had 929 views on that clip. Listen, to all 929 people that viewed that,
we appreciate you.
That. You know what I'm saying? Like Jared said, he's been in existence 30 years. We've been here for less than 1 year. So whatever, dude, what you feel like doing. You know what I'm saying?
But it's also not a sign of quality or substance either. So I mean, I used to make the point all the time. I know my examples could be updated, but I used to make the point all the time that if you go by that, then you would have to say that Britney Spears is a better singer than Aretha Franklin, having sold more albums. I mean, but like that kind of stuff just doesn't, But it's all good. I thought the whole thing was funny.
That hurts my head just even hearing it, even though I know.
Well, I mean, that's the point. I mean, that's the point. It's supposed to be a head hurter.
Yeah. But anyway, as my pops would say, F them. But anyway, welcome to the RemiX Morning Show, though. For folks, if it's your first time coming in, y'all probably like, why y'all bombing on Martin? We like Roland Martin. And I think that, one thing about political education is we have to clarify. I was taught a long time ago, even if you got to get with a cat in the streets, you got to fight a cat. You got to explain to the people around why you whooping his ass. Look, this for what you did to those sisters, this you did to the kids, what else, so on and so forth. So in this particular piece, we need to explain what the problem is with Roland Martin, why Roland Martin is a problem to Black America and his role dealing with the white sponsored press. Excuse me. I guess it's white media as a whole.
I mean, the short for me is that the easy ones are he promotes Black capitalism, he promotes support for the Democratic Party as the farthest left endeavor we should investigate. And I'll stop there. We don't have that much time, but so those would be my two key points as to where I think the flaws lie. Yeah.
You want to add on? Come on.
No, I mean, I think that's the sum of it is. It's like he's a propagandist for the Democratic Party, and he gets paid by corporations to do that job, and that's his role. And so even when he covers news that's important to the community, his spin is ultimately going to be, that's why we got to vote. That's why we got to vote. That's why we got to vote. And that's why we got to vote. And that's why we got to vote for Jim Crow Joe. That's why we got to vote for Kamala the cop. And then he racks in his money. And then he does his other things to sell books that he probably doesn't even write, right? To sell cryptocurrency and everything else he's got, like maybe to sell like a line of ascots to make more money. And that's his role, right? Yeah. So if he gets challenged on his role, he don't like it, so be it.
Hey, one other thing, just one other clear point to add is that activists that he challenges and argues with in their own community come on our platform and get welcomed and shared solidarity in politics. So specifically, Dan Wakuri, challenged Roland Martin. Don't come down here with your whack politics and try to superimpose yourself on what we're trying to do down here. And that was the crux of their issue. And then he comes on our platform and gives us a welcomed, comradely interview, because that's where how we as a platform are situated versus where Roland and others are. So I think that's just another clear.
Hey man, I say we should never trust a Negro with a kente cloth ascot. You know what I'm saying? He's a Black Democratic mascot with an ascot. You know what I'm saying? But my only problem with him is Roland, don't be talking about smacking nobody, because damn well you ain't about that life, boy. You hide in the light. I'm gonna smacking somebody over here. You not lost your big bubble head, man. You don't want no parts. Your arms will literally start to disintegrate and break if they thought about smacking me. So I don't even know what the hell you are, man. Anyway, shout out to the remixers out there. We're not gonna spend the whole show talking about Ascot Man. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be getting to a whole lot of wonderful news, and we're going to show y'all why Black Power Media is important. Definitely, if it's your first time coming on, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and let folks know, what I'm saying, Black Power Media is in existence. And this is why we need you all, because of the fact that this is an example when corporate media attempts to crush legit media sources. Now, the name of our joint is Black Power Media. You're not letting the motherfucker on the ascot come through here and hold court. So let's let that be known. Anyway, how y'all?
Now we want the one on the ones and twos to come through here,
no doubt,
and bless us with what's really going on. Looking like he on the stage already.
Exactly. Look like he auditioning for him.
Okay. Let's go. Yo,
boom, who stepped in the room?
Hey, wanted to start the day off right. It's a beautiful Wednesday, so I wanted to give an artist spotlight. I always like to make sure we don't forget some of the artists that's come around and gave us and blessed us with some good music and arts. So let's get to it right here, right now on the Remix Morning Show, y'all. All right,
let's go.
BPM.
This one originated by ILM. This one originated by ILM.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show once again. Please make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe button and tell a friend. This is where you come again and again every Tuesday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the Remix Morning Show. Make sure y'all go to patreon.com and drop some change in the bucket so we can make sure we keep this movement going strong, y'all. With that said, let's talk about an artist that came along and mashed it up. He goes by no other than the King Yellow Man. That's right, Yellow Man. He came through and mashed it up big time. Yellow Man, also known as Winston Foster, born in 1956. That's right, straight from Jamaica. He's a reggae dancehall DJ. He pretty much out in the 80s and dropped over 40 4 studio albums, 10 live albums, 14 compilation albums. And I'm talking, this dude was dropping at least 5 albums a year in the 80s. Just album after album. And pretty much what happened to him, as you can see in his face, he caught cancer and it went to his jaw. And they had to pretty much try to remove the cancer out of his jaw. But he was one of the first reggae artists signed to an American record label back in the 80s. And at that time, you had people like Josie Wells, Eka Mouse, Baro Bantan, and a bunch of people that coming out doing their thing. But he also jumped on tracks with Run DMC, like Roots Rock Reggae. So he's pretty big back in. He's doing this thing. He had some big tunes like I'm Getting Married in the Morning, and also Zunga Zunga Zing. That's right. That song was sampled by mad people. You talking about KRS-One, The P Is Free. You talking about Pump Me Up, Joe Buttons, Dead Presidents, Bigger Than Hip Hop. Everybody sampled Zunga Zunga Zing. And that's what it is right here on the Remix Morning Show. Just wanted to show some love to no other than the man, Yellow Man. Big up. That's what it is. Now let's get back to the Remix Morning Show, y'all.
This one originated by Ayelama. This one originated by Ayelama. This one originated by Ayelama. This one originated.
Shout out to Yellow Man. Beautiful,
Yellow Man.
beautiful. That's definitely good to see Yellow Man early in the morning. In fact, Jared knew we was gonna be talking about Yellow Man. So
Right?
I'm gonna wear a yellow t-shirt. He just left as soon as we said that.
He had the yellow shirt on and everything, boy. I see it.
Yeah, man. He got same complexion too. Okay.
Look at
I
that.
see Yellow Man.
Oh,
Okay, got the X shirt. Okay. All right. What's good, man?
nah. But that's what it is,
Shameful.
man. Me and my cousin used to ride down the street pumping some I'm Getting Married in the Morning. Man,
Oh.
yes, classic.
Great
But
memories.
that's what it is. That's your artist spotlight for the day. Catch y'all next break.
No doubt.
Peace.
No doubt. Yes.
Right on.
Remix Morning Show.
Hey,
Starting off with
listen,
good
I know
morning.
we gotta. I know we have a lot to get to, and I don't know if we're gonna have time, but I just want to at least mention, if I'm not frozen here, that
We
I
hear you,
did
just
see.
listen.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Actually, I do know what's going on. Again, let me just stop. Let me let you all take over. Let me step back.
You good, man. You here now.
Oh.
You unfroze. As soon as you said it.
Excuse me.
Technical
So
difficulties.
listen, I did. Yeah, technical difficulties. It's Chrome and StreamYard for me. The two it's just so whack. But listen, I know we got a lot to get to, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to this particular thing, but I did. So we talked about it with Jackie a little while ago, but I did finally get to see the King Richard film. And there's a lot to say about that. And there's a lot that we should say, there's a lot to be said. And in many ways I was right, and in many ways it was worse than I thought.
But let's say that for the third hour. But anyway.
So Kalanji, why don't we start with one of your stories, and hopefully by then my browser issue will catch up to itself, and we.
Oh, good. Well, when we
I
do
can
it the way we
participate.
do it traditionally, and go ahead and slap the mat.
Slap the mat.
Slap the mat. What up, what up, what up? Down for the news. My man Kalanji on mute. There you go.
I'm
There
sitting
you
there.
go.
I'm like, I know I was saying something. Shout out to my man Claude yesterday. We said he was gonna bite his line, Jared. He said he was practicing when he was on mute talking. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
If you missed yesterday's show, real quick before we get into the news, We did an excellent piece yesterday dealing with Rwanda. If you did not check that out, please go back to Black Power Media and check out what was done yesterday. The awesome piece. You're interested in the history of Rwanda and what's been going on from genocide to post-genocide, you definitely want to check that particular piece out. So, shout out to that crew for coming out yesterday. First story today, we always talk about the criminal injustice system because of the fact that we know that, as some people would say, that it's flawed, but we know that it's rotten to the core. So I bumped into this story yesterday about a judge in Louisiana by the name of Judge Michelle Odinette. Now, this that she wanted to express how she felt about Black folks with her children. So I don't know if you all can see the piece. So they found a video of her. Yes, she's a Lafayette City, Louisiana judge. And she was talking about racial slurs she was using following a quote unquote home burglary. Okay. She says that she used the quote unquote N-word because she was under sedatives. She had some some type of medicine and whatever, and she was going through some things or whatever. She said, "My children and I were victims." I mean, she's the judge.
She blamed her pills.
Right.
So how many people she let go who come before her and said, "My bad. I know I was driving, or I was committing this crime, or stealing that purse. I took too many pills, man.
I had a headache. So I just started saying, nigga. She said that my children and I were victims of an armed burglary at our home. The police were called and the assailant was arrested. The incident shook me to my core and my mental state was fragile. She said, despite Odinette's position as a city court judge, Lafayette police have treated the crime like any other burglary. 59-year-old Ronald Handy has been arrested and charged with 2 counts of simple burglary, and he's currently in the Lafayette Parish Jail on a $10,000 bond. Lafayette Police Sergeant Paul Mountain said there was no weapon found, and but the family claims that it was an armed burglary. She said she was in a wreck. She was unable to sleep. And following the incident, a cell phone video of security footage from Odinette's home had been posted on several social media sites. Several people in the video are heard yelling racist slurs during playback of the incident. In a response to the accusations, again, Odinette said, "I was given a sedative at the time of the video. I have zero recollection of the video and the disturbing language used during it. Anyone who knows me and my husband knows that it is contrary to the way we live our lives, and I'm deeply sorry and ask for your forgiveness and understanding as my family and I deal with this emotional aftermath of this armed burglary." Okay, so basically, someone broke in. There was no armed burglary. We know that part. And she decides, and her kids decide to, talk about them being a nigga. But she was under some aspirins and whatnot and some Tylenols. So, should we forgive her? How do you guys feel out there in the chat? I'm sure that you all understand how you could be under sedatives and whatnot, and the word nigga can just pop up out of nowhere. That shit had to come from the core of your soul if it was mustered up.
For me, I'm not interested in apologies or forgiveness, and there's nothing to forgive in the sense that I expect that this is generally the views of white folks in this country, if not beyond in the world. So right. And when pushed up, when the slightest bit of pressure is applied, there it is. So that's why, by the way, going back to even the discussion we were having the other day around nationalism and materialism, this is why I am in support of materialist efforts, because because that part I think can be addressed as opposed to attitudes, feelings, biases, et cetera, and so forth. I just want to make sure that those views can't impact anybody in the world. That's all. I'm not interested in trying to change
And
them
that's
per se.
and that's the next step is whatever court she's in, whatever cases she's seen, this is a call for a mass review of all the cases she's passed judgment on, so that folks can see whether or not she's giving out fines, criminal sentences, deciding in civil cases. What is her record when she's not saying the N-word, right? What's her record when she's not niggering it up over some robbery and stuff like that? So I think that also will lay bare, how she lives her life. And so I think
I was going to say, I thought you were going the other way, Kamal. I thought you were about to say this might be a good time to engage in certain activities, because this might be the time to show up in front of her court. Thinking this is like, she's going to be like extra nice now. Like now that everybody's watching, this might be the time.
I don't trust that. No, it's time for her to get off the bench.
I mean, but on the real,
she need another job. She need to get a cash register job. She need to intern at Roland Martin show. She needs another job.
Hey man, listen.
Just saying,
she might go good working with Martin.
Roland Martin's legal analyst.
Martin,
exactly.
She better get an ascot. Yeah.
She could be his Judy. Nancy Grace. Judge Judy.
No doubt.
She need that career move now.
No doubt. No
doubt.
I
mean, she could definitely get a job on Fox. So that's open.
Of course.
Like, what?
She's good. She's good. But on the real, like, I mean, and we just talking about this, but on the real, man, I really don't care about them using the word nigga in their own private space, because I know that you use the shit anyway. It's just when you get caught and talking about you was on some drugs and shit, you had some Tylenol 3s or some Anacin or something, and then you talk about that affected you. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it's the reality. We live in a white supremacist world, so we're clear about that. We know if you're not calling us niggas, we know you thinking nigga. So regardless, I mean, go out like a G, be like, yeah, I said it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know nobody was taping. I was in the privacy of my own home. Bam. Have a nice day.
If this will work, I think this is why. This actually, for me, is one of the other reasons why I, at least, find it necessary to be critical of people or platforms or people who do the work like Roland Martin does. Because if we look at this story here from Richard Prince's Journalisms, which covers Richard Prince, a legendary Black journalist who covers Black journalism, they're talking about a concern that there is an undercurrent of white racism, white supremacy in the society that is not being properly addressed. But if we pay attention here, just check what they say here. The story reads, the continuing attack on American democracy orchestrated by supporters of Donald Trump has racial animus motivating forces and has racial animus as one of its motivating forces and is being underreported by the news media, according to Barton Gellman, whose Atlantic cover story about the alarming consequences of inaction is gaining traction. But this is what is important and why I keep saying we're in the moment, and forgive me if that noise is coming through as loud as it seems to be over here. But as I keep saying, we're in this moment of problems being discussed, but in ways that don't move us forward. So as the story continues, some Black journalists are joining in the warning. Nicole Hannah Jones, appearing on PBS's Washington Week Friday, November 17th on Fresh Air, said, our job as journalists is to tell the truth. And sometimes the truth is one political party doesn't believe in democracy. One political party is actually doing things that are hurtful to democracy. And I really fear that we are not rising to the moment, not enough anyway, end quote. A little bit farther in the story, I think you can see where we're going here. This is Gelman's thesis. Technically, quote, the next attempt to overthrow a national election may not qualify as a coup. It will rely on subversion more than violence, although each will have its place. If the plot succeeds, the ballots cast by American voters will not decide the presidency in 2024. Thousands of votes will be thrown away or millions to produce the required effect. The winner will be declared the loser. The loser will be certified president-elect, end quote. The point I'm getting at, and the point that I'm in drawing in a parallel to what we were saying about Roland Martin, is that that class of journalists Black journalists consistently suggests that the solution to our problems is defending and supporting the Democratic Party. Again, as Nicole Hannah-Jones is quoted as saying in this story, and I think speaking on, to the sort of politics of that class of popular journalists in which Roland Martin finds himself, that there is one party, she says, that is the problem. One party promoting white supremacist violence and a takeover of the state, so to speak, as opposed to the other party, which stands as the righteous defense against such injustices, and that we must not only raise the call of alarm, but then rally the troops, so to speak, in defense of the Democratic Party in 2024 to protect the election, to make sure that we don't get Trump or whatever else, and that we do get their sponsors, which are in terms of impact on the world, largely the same. So anyway, I just thought that was it's another example of what I think is an important distinction between what we're trying to do and what this popular mainstream commercial class of journalists, black, white, or other, is there to do, to set those limits that we can't go beyond. So anyway.
Yeah. No, and then people like, again, Martin and some others, and even to an extent this new station that was created but isn't black owned, but calls itself Black News. Their roles are very similar, right? It is they'll talk about some similar story. They'll talk about this judge and racial animus. They'll talk about January 6th and racial animus, and they'll walk right up to the precipice of talking about white supremacy and how that is all in all the institutions that make up America. But they only have one solution, which is always around voting for the Democrats. And again, no matter how moderate the Democrat is, no matter that Democrat's own history of supporting white supremacy, that his own history of hurting the black community with crime bills and so forth, his own history of working side by side and bragging that he's working side by side, but with former Klan members, and how he can get along with this one and that one, and how he can make things work. No matter what that history is, it's still supposed to be, well, that's better than the right wing, and so that's acceptable. And we get our little goodies for telling you to come along into this party, and so we all good with it. And that's that's their narrative. Their narrative is at this, and again, they some of them at least get some corporate donors, they get some speaking engagements, they get to be analysts on other mainstream programs, so they feel like they're doing their job, and that's all what they feel like their job is. They're not pushing anything. They pushing us. 2024, we talked about it before, will be what? The most important election of all time, because every election that's upcoming for the president is going to be termed that way, because we have to stop the demon Republicans from getting back in office, even if having the Democrats in office doesn't mean anything for us.
And what's crazy about it too, to add on what you're saying, it's like they keep talking about Biden, and like you said, the history of Biden. They keep talking about Biden as if he's, he's new, give him a chance, give him time. He's been in electoral politics for a half a century, at least 50 years. You know what I'm saying? He knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what he's doing. And that's why he's up there right now. You know what I'm saying? And he's a buffer and will continue to be, we're clear. But, again, it's like, what has the Democratic Party ever done for black people? You know what I'm saying? We got to remember it started off as the party of the Klan. And, folks act like, all of a sudden they changed their ways. Literally, will you trust Strom Thurmond to be the leader of black people if he was alive today? No. Would you trust Thomas Jefferson, who owned over 500, 600 slaves or 600 Africans, to be a savior for black people? You probably would, because you'd say at least he's not talking like Trump was talking. You know what I mean? So we're confused, some of us. Anyway, moving right along. Jared, you got something else you want to rap about, man? Look like you were thinking deep.
Dude, what I think what I need to do is I think I need to switch computers real quick. So okay. If the two of you could just rock on for 2 minutes. I'll be right back, and then I can continue contributing. But I think I'm having too many problems here, so I apologize.
All good in the hood. We will hold you down, brother. In the meantime, you got something you want to talk about, Kamal, or I can come with another story?
You can come with another one real quick.
Okay.
Now, one thing Roland does have over us is the technology, that corporate dollars.
Definitely
That's why we need y'all support, as he pulls up the story, so we don't be freezing and glitching.
Hey,
so,
man,
you know what I'm saying?
Don't be selling out, man. You know what I'm saying? just
I didn't ask for the corporate support. I asked for the people support.
Hey, man,
you know
I'm with you. I'm with you. They're gonna be coming for us, trying to buy us next. What I'll do is I'll take it to some local news. I got some information about some nice sheriffs who caught a DUI. Now I know that that usually doesn't happen here, but anyway, a sheriff's deputy was charged with DUI after a chase with Georgia State Police with 2 other deputies in the car. That's right, you heard it correctly. Right here in the wonderful city of Atlanta, the state of Georgia. You know what I'm saying? You had this. I would call him a brother, but I don't call the police brothers. This particular gentleman here in Rockdale County, Georgia, 3 Rockdale County sheriff's deputies are on administrative leave after Georgia State Patrol troopers say they were involved in a high-speed chase while under the influence of alcohol. According to the Georgia State Police, on December 5th, a trooper noticed a car driving 119 miles per hour in a 60-mile-per-hour zone on I-20 in Fulton County. Okay, so these are 3 troopers driving 119 miles an hour in a 60-mile zone. That is twice the speed limit. It's like 1 mile away from being twice the speed limit. Okay, and they're on administrative leave. Okay, so I couldn't imagine, that being the case with a normal citizen. The trooper says that as he tried catching up to the car, the driver raised his per hour. The driver began to after passing the best, and another Georgia State Police troop, after he passed the other trooper as well. He slowed down and was still going more than 100 miles per hour. So again, he got up to 134 miles an hour. This is a sheriff in Georgia. On top of that, he had 2 other deputies in the car with him. So I'm wondering, these cats are drunk out their damn mind, going 134 miles an hour in a 60-mile-an-hour zone. So they said he slowed down when he hit that boulevard joint. Now, for folks who are in the Atlanta area, you have to slow down when you get to that particular area. Or, I'm surprised he was still able to move the way they were with that at that particular speed. But it's just amazing. Like administrative leave is what the deal is. 3 deputies.
Oh, that's all.
So you got 3 deputies driving drunk. 3 deputies driving drunk, and you got a judge who was high off Tylenol. And this is the legal system we're dealing with right here.
Nobody did the pivot maneuver and like ran them off the road.
Pit move.
You know what I'm saying? The pit move and ran them off the road to stop them.
They're
all safe and good. See, it's up. See, when they blew. They get that blue treatment. You know what I'm saying?
I'm surprised that they must have ran the tags and realized that he was a cop, because with Homeboy, his black ass would have had a problem in most parts of Georgia. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So they had to run that tag and say, "Oh, this is Officer Joe Blow. He's drunk again." How does that work?
That's how things work when you support the blue. And speaking of the blue and how the blue works, so let me do this quick segue story, because I don't think we talked about this the other day.
Okay.
So your boy Tyler Perry.
Not enough.
Because I don't think I put that picture up there. With Tyler Perry, the first annual Heroes Behind the Mask community recognition ceremony, him and Fulton County DA, her name is Fannie Willis. So they had a basically an award ceremony where they gave awards to the police. And this was all, Tyler Perry money. And as we know, Tyler Perry got a gift from Atlanta, one of the gifts from Kasim Reed when he was mayor, which was a studio, basically a studio in East Point that used to be an army barracks that was supposed to be turned into a community center, festival place. There was all these plans that were in the works to make this something that's a benefit to the community. But Tyler Perry and Kasim Reed step in and decide together, no public hearings or anything like that, that, you know what, Tyler wants this. We're going to give this to Tyler. And what folks have told me is that, you know, he actually went to the meeting, Kasim Reed, to watch the people that he appointed to make sure they voted his way. That's he's like, you gonna vote my way, otherwise it's the highway kind of thing. So I just wanted to remind people that's how the Black elite works. They work with the blue before they work with you and I, right? That's what they care about.
But what kind of report?
When it's time, no, I just would when it's time to count up my minimal contributions to the academic and community. One of them will be that I co-created and co-authored a piece on Tyler Perry as representing the Man-Tan Manifesto, and introducing to us and helping promote what had been previously started as Smokey, the new trope, as Smokey the half-baked coon. But the point of the Man-Tan Manifesto is laid out in Spike Lee's Bamboozled, is that people like Tyler Perry, to protect themselves, will hire a lot of Black people. They will present themselves as representing a Black struggle. They will, and there were several other things I can't remember off the top of my head that we identified or that were identified in that one of those famous scenes from Bamboozled, where I think Spike got some things right. But this is one of the ways that Tyler Perry gets away with a lot of this stuff. And then he does things like this, which are also presented as some sort of Black progressive endeavor of some sort, of Black pride of some sort. It's crazy. So,
people get upset when we point out the bounce. You know what I'm saying? When we unveil and show them what's really the deal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and this is a part of when you talk about imperialism, this is from a local level, but it grows and it grows and it grows like a virus, and it spreads and it spreads and it spreads. But it's folks like this who it's necessary to check, because of the fact that these are the same folks back in the day that would have been on the Bill Cosby shit, like Black folks need to pull their pants up and all of this type, empty rhetoric and blame the victim, for lack of better words. So it's very important for us to continue to point out these contradictions. And I was just going to try to use that as a segue to get to one of Kamal's favorite folks.
But I know that this was a story that can talk about ignoble and insane collaborations. There was this story of this story in the Daily Dot says a Black-led group claims it's formed a coalition with the Proud Boys that doesn't seem likely. On Monday, Black Hammer made this stunning announcement that it's forming a coalition with the Proud Boys. People have significant doubts that it's true. There is an exceedingly unlikely partnership. Black Hammer is a Black-led organization that says it wants to take the land back for all colonized people. Many, including former founders and members, have called it a cult. The Proud Boys are a far-right extremist group whose chats are littered with slurs about Black people and other marginalized groups. The Proud Boys claim they're not racist. The two do share some common enemies, however. Both loathe liberals, former President Barack Obama, and have been credibly accused of anti-Semitism. There are no shortage of examples of Proud Boys and their sympathizers being anti-Semitic. This year, Black Hammer has notoriously referred to Holocaust victim Anne Frank as a colonizer and bleach demon. Damn. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing at that. That's damn. On Monday, Black Hammer tweeted, the Black Hammer organization and the Proud Boys are forming a coalition to defeat the disgusting do-loving. I'm not sure what that is. Somebody can help me out with that. Welfare economy Democrats and their puppet master. Oh, pedophile. I get it. My bad. Okay, I get it. Got you. Thank you. Okay. And their puppet master, Big Pharma, who has been poisoning all of us for too long. Pandemic restrictions and Dr. Anthony Fauci are another of the group's common enemies. So this was the announcement on Twitter. You heard it here first. Black Hammer Organization and the Proud Boys are forming a coalition to defeat the disgusting.
Is that a video? Is that a video?
It's just a GIF. It's just a GIF.
Okay, because there are some videos, because of the fact that I didn't believe it, but I did see that they had a video chat together, an interview. So I was like, wow, man, this is
well, this is what they talk about here. They were on a podcast, and I'll stop here. But what is interesting in this story, at least, is among the interesting things, is that Ghazi Kodzo, aka Augustus Romaine Jr., as the head of the Black Hammer group, is said in this story to have had people in the group saying, as I said before, that it's a cult to former members, or that he doesn't really speak for them. And the same thing is being said here of the right-wing representative of the Proud Boys, McGinnis, Gavin McGinnis, where McGinnis is quoted as saying, "You were talking to Ghazi, you were there from day one. We say uhuru because of you." Oh my God. Wow. But in other words, the coalition that they're forming seems to be, from Ghazi, who's on the fringes of this struggle and seems to be on the outs, at least with some or at least formally of his organization. And then the white dude, McGinnis, seems to equally be on the outs as a representative of the Proud Boys, who claim he's not representing them, and yet they have all come together to form this coalition, which is.
I don't want to give I won't give too much ear to the cult group, because I'm not surprised, because they are attention seekers. I mean, this same group went out and started doing rallies. I think when what's the hip hop artist that said that her brother-in-law, his balls swole up, Nicki Minaj. Yeah, they went out and did public protest in favor of Nicki at the CDC. So this is a group that's constantly looking for any media, and they've made a drift that way for a while. So I'm actually not surprised. I don't think too much about them, because they constantly are having defections and so forth. I think the Proud Boys, there's another article I saw about the Proud Boys, which shows their actual strength in numbers, because even after the January 6th rebellion, the insurrection, I guess, and takeover by the crazy whites. They redid their strategy and began doing local organizing, right? Whether I like their organizing or not, these cats actually have membership, which goes to school board meetings, city council meetings, and I guess the mask mandate is one of the things that they're fighting about. But what they show is their ability to get deep in white working class communities and continually to bring them over to the right. Not that it's hard to bring them over, but to organize them even more successfully into militia and ideological organizational outfits. And so in spite of the mainstream consternation about them, they continue to move in different ways. And they stopped doing what they called national organizing and started focusing on the local stuff, because they thought that's where their cachet was. And so I think that, to me, that says something about that, the strength of an organization that's been demonized in the media. So it doesn't take, we've got examples of that in our community too. It doesn't take positive media to get the word out. Those folks, again, I don't like their organizing. I don't like them. I don't like the ideology, but they are definitely implanting themselves into a particular community.
You talking about the Proud Boys?
Yeah, the other group they're doing clown videos because they're clowns. So I'm not worried about them.
Welcome to America.
But I do think I think all of them and all of this and both groups mentioned here are reflective of the moment we're in. So that other than admittedly some of my pettiness and for comedic value and bringing them up, I mean, I do think that they are able to do what they're able to do because of so many of this vacuum that has been created, still going back several decades now. But and it's just something that we have to struggle that much more against as well. But anyway, yeah. So
and for their purposes, a good, like you said, like a good use of social media in a sense, right? Like those cats are all online all the time. One account gets shut down, they open up new accounts or whatever. So in that respect, you're like they understand the new media environment in ways that a lot of folks who are trying to reach some similar folks do not, right? So, you know, in that way, for whether or not it's well, you know, for the Proud Boys, it might lead to membership, but for the other group, it probably doesn't. But it does lead to notoriety enough to get mentions, and which is what they really care about.
Yeah, I mean, they got mentioned here today, so they're successful in their endeavor. But
congratulations.
Yes. So we went from Roland Martin to I can't even think of these dudes' names. But anyway,
it's just outlining the environment we're struggling in. That's all.
True indeed. But
so look, I know we got some other things we can get to, including a little bit on this King Richard, if we can. And I know in the next hour after Ear Doctor comes back and does his thing and brings us to an interview, I know he's got. But anyway.
Yeah. Remix Morning Show. You know what it do with the Ear Doctor. How about that?
Yeah.
On stage.
Hey, you reminded us that we supposed to mention somebody.
That's right. We supposed to mention Edward Paul. Big up to Edward Paul, Patreon member, who made a big, beautiful donation to make sure that this movement continues to go forward.
Yes.
So big up to Edward
Paul.
We appreciate you for real. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we got to bring that back. I know on Renegade Culture, as we mentioned, we were always shouting out the Patreons. So we definitely want to do that because of the fact we want y'all to know that we appreciate y'all helping to stay here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So continue to help us stay here. You know what I mean? And Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media, Ear Doctor. What we got?
We got another artist spotlight. We always talk about certain people that do that rhyme and spit, but they'll never come with any consciousness and they don't have a balance. So I brought somebody to the table that got a balance. So let's get to it.
Okay.
Right on. Let's go. Remix.
Yeah. Welcome out, everybody. Once again to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and y'all are tuned in at the right place at the right time. That's right. So I wanted to give some shine out to a sister that is out here doing her thing, and she goes by the name of 3D Nati. That's right. This sister right here. She pretty much is a songwriter. She producer. She does video production, and she does home improvement videos. I'm talking about this sister does it all, and she has a song that, you know, you look at her right here and you're like, oh, she gonna talk about stuff all these other sisters talk about. But no, she does not just talk about that. So let me put y'all up on something that she did, and it's called Who Can We Run To? Check this out.
I guess body cameras and GoPros and stop the popos. They put Eric in the chokehold until his throat closed. They left like in the street, should have seen the photos. So many self-serving laws. Who the hell
I guess we all resemble prey. Back then it was a noose around our necks. Now it's a mental noose from the few you choose to protect. And I picture we next. They rather see you up in bars, but they see you up in Forbes. They kill and get an applause instead of indictments. And I can't just blame it on the white men, cause if we don't give a fuck, then fuck we acting just like them. But then again, we know that there's a few who join the force so they can serve their ego and do not serve the people. So they treat us like fecal matter, like we don't matter. They consider us just data, not humans, just fucking data. I pledge allegiance like them, so what's the difference? Is it my nappy hair? It's my pigment. Fuck am I missing? We was taught and conditioned that we ought to be prison. And although we was born in this country, there's a division. 4th grade officer friendly visited schools. Years later, they're gunning down kids that I knew. And all my peers rapping about they Audemars and shoes. All you fucking niggas fools, they using us like tools to keep the sheeple amused. Just take a peek at my views. Black with a case of blues that ain't even making the news.
Who can I run to? Tell me who. Tell me who. Tell me who angry and they're thirsty for knowledge.
How they gonna protect us when they don't need us respect? I'm here to negate the fact the only way the black can make their paper stack is making crack. Though I did that, let's take it back. Before oppressed people, we were blessed people. Then we came here and got treated like less equal, so we chose the less evil. Your religion, we adapted it. Waiting on you hand and foot, and still we got your ass to kiss. That type of passiveness will turn you to a masochist. My grandma used to clean up for this white, rich, lavish chick, saving all her life. She 86 and still ain't half as rich. At the age of 6, made me imagine if, when I get grown, would I have to bore my dreams to clean a white lady's home? Make me ignore a life of my own? But these days I know better. It ain't about the skin, it's about the hatred that you harboring within. You're not better than me, I'm not better than you. And when you take your last breath, they gonna bury you too. Act like you know.
Can I run to?
You go. There you go. That's 3D, not T. Straight out of New Orleans. So big up to that sister. Continue to make great music, putting it out there for the people. So that's what it is right here on the Remix Morning Show. Now let's get back to our hosts. You know how we do.
Yeah. On.
Remix Morning Show. Okay.
That was fly. And I love the reference to Officer Friendly. Do they still do that?
In school, I hope not. I do remember Officer Friendly used to come to the class. We'd be like, look at this sucker.
I know. They still do that. They still do that. They just at my kids' school, they just had like the day where the firemen come and the cops come and they do the whole they put the siren on for you. Everybody likes the loud noise, that kind of thing. So they definitely still they pull out those tropes because they know how to win. You know, you get a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old. You know what I mean? It's a little siren, little car. You know what I'm saying? Break out the mace. They're like, what? You know? So they that's what they do. That indoctrination is strong.
One thing we let our children, teachers know out the gate. There'll be anytime there's police, military, fire department, any state workers, that they can't be in the classroom. So we don't even play that. It's not even, and they're like, well, what about this? So they always ask. My daughter, I remember she was like 5 years old. She'd be like, Dad, the pigs are behind us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and we never told her to call them pigs, but it was a natural thing. She just, she recognized what their value and their worth in the community at an early age. So yeah, big up to 3D Nate and all the other MCs out there putting in work. It's a whole lot of dope MCs. And I love the balance. Good thing, Air Doctor. I know some folks are critical sometime about choices. We talk about Black power goes beyond our limited thinking. So shout out to her for reaching other audiences. Hopefully we'll get her on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Catch y'all next break. Peace.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
What up?
So look, I mean, there are a couple. I do have a couple stories left before, and then I definitely would like to raise this issue of the King Richard thing because it's wild. But anyway, but one of the stories that I thought we could look at this morning deals with an aspect of the Amazon empire that doesn't get that much attention. And nope, that's not the one. That's not the one. So now I can't. Yeah, here we go with it. Now I'm having my. I'm telling you, I don't know what to. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to do. All right, so here, do this for me. Can somebody pull this link up for me since I'm having all kinds of problems? It's in the private chat. I appreciate it. And then we can just go from there. Because that is.
Why don't you run down with a little bit what the story is about while we pull it up?
Anyway, you're right. Yeah, sorry about that. So the story is about Jeff Bezos's. It's from the good folks at Wall Street on Parade. And the story is titled "Americans Know Very Little About Amazon Web Services That Knocked Out Large Swaths of East Coast Internet Services on December 7th." And for them, they started to look into this, as they say, FINRA, F-I-N-R-A, is a Wall Street self-regulator. Last Tuesday afternoon, December 7th, we attempted to access the part of the website that houses data on Wall Street's dark pools. That is, pools of money that are invested where you can't know exactly who the investors are. But they were denied access. And as they say here, quote, our problem at FINRA's website was just the tip of the iceberg last Tuesday. As a result of problems at Amazon Web Services, AWS, Amazon's cloud service network, customers couldn't get through to Delta Airlines on its AWS-supported phone lines. The Associated Press was limited in what it could publish for much of the day. Barron's reported it was negatively impacted. Apps from McDonald's and Ticketmaster and streaming services from Disney and Netflix were also knocked offline. Amazon delivery drivers couldn't access the necessary information to deliver packages, and some Amazon warehouses couldn't process orders. The outages also negatively impacted other Amazon services such as Alexa voice assistant, Kindle, Amazon Music, Amazon's video conferencing service Chime, and its Ring security cameras. The following list, the following companies and government agencies were then on the record as using AWS this back in 2020. Because as they say here, but the outages that were reported by the media last Tuesday, which were concentrated on the East Coast of the U.S. from late morning to most of the afternoon, were likely just the tip of the iceberg. According to a report by John Cave at Contino on January 28th, 2020, all of these companies here were on AWS. And this is stuff all over the world. I mean, European Space Agency, ESPN, Dow Jones, obviously Netflix, Ticketmaster, WeTransfer, Yelp, Ubisoft, the Weather Company. I mean, all this stuff, right? And as it says here, Amazon Web Services describes its, you know what? I'm not even sure. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for following me. Anyway, Amazon, just below that, it says Amazon Web Services describes itself as follows: the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform, offering over 200 fully featured services from data centers globally. Millions of customers, including the fastest growing startups, largest enterprises, and leading government agencies, are using AWS to lower costs. Some of the leading government agencies are actually in the United States, notwithstanding the fact that Amazon is under scrutiny by multiple governments for abusing antitrust law and attempting to squash smaller competitors. ABC News reports that AWS holds roughly a third of the $152 billion market for cloud services, according to a report by Synergy Research, a larger share than its closest rival, Microsoft and Google combined. Anyway, the story continues, but it's the point, at least for me, would be that on the one hand, while capitalism continues to promise free market competition, as they describe it, and a chance to and promises to avoid what they say is a concern with concentration of power and offering opportunity to everybody. As is the case with all the dominant industries, we end up with, if not a monopoly, an oligopoly, a duopoly of sorts, where there needs to be regulation. I mean, why should one company not only enrich one man to the tune of Jeff Bezos, but leave this much control and influence and access, etc., all around the world that is unregulated? Or largely at least unregulated and under the auspices of one private company. How is this better than being under the control of at least a theoretically democratically elected government? So
I think one day we'll wake up and we'll realize that all of these quote unquote monopolies are just arms of the state. Like, it's just the U.S. is one corporation, and these are different departments that exist within them under the guise of them being companies and corporations. You know what I'm saying? I look at the Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musk and all these folks as agents of the state. And that's why, you know, they're untouchable. That's why they're able to have these space trips and do all these other things. It is controlled by, you know, it's like one monster with many arms. And until we look at it like that, we'll continue to, again, seek justice and try to charge them for their illegal activities and go nowhere fast.
Well, I flip it a little bit and I say the state is an agent for Amazon because, you know, it's the corporations, you know, that the state is acting on their behalf, and that's the, you know, again, and I echo that point that Jared made. Like, no matter what we think about these governments and how they run, there's obviously no accountability whatsoever, right, when it's run by these private corporations and their shareholders and their presidents and so forth, who again rake in billions of dollars, and it's cross national, right? It's international, and these folks control the infrastructure of the world at this stage, and there seems to be very little that governments can do, and some of the bankrolls or the income of these companies are bigger than some national economies at this particular stage. I mean, look, Jeff Bezos, and these folks are going to in space and satellites and taking space missions. Meanwhile, a country like Iran or other countries are sanctioned for even daring to have the technology to put a satellite in space, right? That gets sanctioned. But it's okay when these private companies basically use the same technology for their capitalist interests, but something for a national interest, somehow it gets looked upon as some evildoer doing something in the world. So these corporations, they fully control propaganda arms and state structures that work totally in their behalf, and that's what capitalism is giving us. And it's only getting worse, obviously, as we go on. Where now we have, it's no longer about millionaires. Now it's about billionaires. And what's next? It's going to be the first trillionaire. That kind of.
They're already talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and
they are.
And to what you're saying, I mean, either way we flip it, it's one corporation. You know what I mean? I think the thing is, it's like, quote unquote, law enforcement. They make you think that it's all different types of, components and all of that type shit, when in reality we're up against this monster. And talking about boycotting Kellogg or talking about boycotting Amazon, it's like the empire itself has to be boycotted in a way that we can be as successful as possible. Now, we know that it encompasses every part of our lives, so we have to figure out how to be savvy enough to work our way around it as much as possible, because of the fact that right now it's in the air we breathe, literally. You know what I'm saying? The corporations are literally in the air we breathe, in the water we drink, the every part of our lives. It's like you talking about a virus. That's the what do you call it? The vaccine we need. What's going to be the vaccine against the empire virus? You know what I'm saying? And Pan-Africanism, you know what I'm saying? But how do we make that thing work in a way that is beneficial to us as a whole?
Yeah, no doubt. If I can, I wanted to see if I can, okay, here we go. So I just need to move this over here, because there's just sort of related to everything actually that we've been talking about this morning is something that I just like to keep track of. I do subscribe to Advertising Age, which is one of the oldest industry rags, so to speak. And I just like to look at some of the I don't know. I just like to look at what they have to say. And they're back here with the top 100 advertisers list. And with a sort of sub story about how there was a slight dip in ad revenue spending over the last year, with an expectation that it will rise again. Sorry about that. Here shortly. So, for instance, we can now quantify advertisers' global pandemic pullback. Spending for the world's 100 biggest advertisers fell 7.1% to $278 billion in 2020. But it gives you an idea. The total spending overall is usually, or was headed up until this past year, overall closer to $600 billion overall. But this is just the top 100. even with a downturn, spent 278 billion in 1 year. And I think it's always important to remember that another way of looking at this is that this is the pool of money that most commercial media are vying for. This is what they're chasing. This is what they want. And to get it, they will do largely what they need to do. And whether it's cover the news a certain way, offer perspectives on economic analysis a certain way, obviously open their doors up to the Democratic Party. So there's not much more here other than that, other than just to, I think it's just interesting to look at least the names of the companies, if not the people, who have a lot to say ultimately about what TV shows we watch, what gets renewed, what series get picked up or dropped, what news gets covered, how it's covered, so on and so on and so on. So there's all of these groups with what they've spent, from 2019 to 2020 in billions. Wait a minute, estimated ad spending percent change. So this is the percentage change 2020. This is what they spent in 2020 in billions. For those of us who watch world football, this is why we see this name on Barcelona's jersey. And then a lot of the names that we're familiar with, Coca-Cola, Sony, Pfizer, of course.
I was surprised to see it.
And interesting, they actually spent less.
I was surprised to see a company from Ireland up there.
Yeah, I mean, there was somebody from Ireland, Flutter Entertainment. I honestly don't know who they are or what they do, but maybe they produce some of your favorite shows. I don't know. But yeah.
And even though the model is changing slightly, we all know like you mentioned the sitcoms and even still the news stories on regular channels, that all of that is nonsense, right? Because all of that is meant to just to keep your eyes so that you can get to the commercial, right? From their perspective, they're putting on those shows not because they have some great entertainment or cultural or artistic value. They're like, what can get some eyes on here so that we can run these commercials for you, right? That's really what that model is. Obviously, some of that is flippant because we have streaming on demand, and you can pay for it. And so the model now flips around the internet, right? And so the internet and little pop-ups and all that kind of stuff that you'll get to see, and the selling of your information to these companies so they can directly contact you via messenger, phone, email, and all these other apps. So it's all about your information. That's why these social media companies do it. They don't do it because they want you to communicate with each other. That might be a byproduct that they'll put up with to a certain extent, but it's all about how can we capture your information, get your eyes there, do these other promotions, so that it's always about, what's your next purchase. Even if you can't afford to purchase anything, is what you're going to take a loan out through credit to continue to purchase, to continue to spend. And if anything, a lot of these shows are just ways to get you to think about your life through the lens of buying and creating careers which serve their interests. And so, it's all also mixed up in there.
And as the thing moves to internet and streaming, it's also more insidious. You get plot lines and stories rewritten to incorporate product placement. You get all kinds of things happening with all this money going around. So just lastly here, just to point out that Procter and Gamble is again the number one ad buyer in the world. And which represents so many different products. And then as I want to start coming back to getting to, in particular, when one of my favorite databases opens up again, is the ability to start to see that it's not just that they're advertising products, that the people who run these companies and make all this money are using this as political influence, using this to raise money to develop public policy that is purchased in Congress, that continues to benefit these companies and benefit the socioeconomic order as it is. So it is bigger than just even this, that they're not just simply trying to move products, they're moving ideas and public opinion as well. So Anyway, so I just think this is just something I like to always keep track of and pay some attention to, just as we start to again continue to have to assess our environment, our media environment, and beyond. So, anyway,
man. So I wonder how much of that is bowling ball head getting, since to keep
I mean, again, as I showed the other day, it's no longer on the front page of his website as it used to be. It's now, and I was somewhat jokingly hoping I could take credit for him hiding it a little bit better. But if you go to one of his other pages, it's still there, where it says very clearly, Black people have this 1.3 trillion in buying power, and your ad revenue helps you reach that community. So, I mean, he's clearly appealing for that money. The details of how much he gets and where it comes from, I don't know. We saw in one case, this clearly comes through the work he does with John Hope Bryant and the associated economic relationships he has with him. And that there's some apps that they were advertising, like that, what was it, that community monitoring app that Kaba and I were looking at on a couple weeks ago. I can't remember, but something, but it's all connected to this whole thing of, and actually it was one of those, it was an app, it's an application that's supposed to help community. I think it's called Neighbors. It's supposed to help people in a community get to know one another. And part of the ad that was in it was a Black man moving into a mostly white neighborhood, or vice versa, saying when white people were gentrifying into his neighborhood, the point was that he could use this application or this platform to communicate to them that he's not a threat, that he is of no harm to them. This is literally in the commercial that they're running on Roland Martin's platform, that he has an economic relationship with. And then we'll do that. But the point is, they're using that as the sponsor for their economic advice segment. So I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about here. So anyway,
which again does the double point that you make. It's not only just about getting the eyeballs and getting you to spend, but it's also about creating a narrative about, let's just, if we just calm down or show that we're not a threat, right? And then that makes it, and then everything is good. And then we all can get some of this money according to their theory, which never works anyway, because it's about them eating at the table and then telling the rest of us, you just chill, and you do what I tell you to do because I'm the part of the misleadership class, and you vote for Biden. And then then you go and get yours or something like that,
Or in Atlanta.
And Kalanji, before you go, real quick, let me just say what Kamal just did is a perfect intro and segue for what we're going to say after the next break about King Richard. Perfect.
Let's go.
It will fit perfectly.
Perfectly. Anyway, you're checking out the RemiX Morning Show, your favorite morning show on the goddamn planet. I don't care what bowling ball head said. You know what I'm saying? We run things every time. Black Power Media, we in the building. And right about now, the ear doctor them got a few guests that he gonna bring on board. RemiX Morning Show, ear doctor, where you at, man?
I was here.
Shucking and jiving.
hey, a lot of people be like, y'all on the YouTube, on the Black Power Media, y'all a bunch of hosts and everything, but do y'all do any real work in the community? Guess what?
Wow.
We do. So I wanted to let y'all know about an event that we got going on this weekend. So stick around. Let me put you down. Let's go.
Okay. RemiX Morning Show.
RemiX.
But I got
Yeah. Welcome out, everybody, to the RemiX Morning Show. I am the Ear Doctor once again, and I have some special guests I would like to bring on with me that's representing Urban Tech Academy, as you see on my shirt. So let me introduce you to no other than Patrick Zaki Young and Leslie Martinez. How y'all doing this morning?
Good morning.
Pretty good. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. So I wanted to let everybody know about this event we got going on this weekend. Starting on Friday, we have an event. It's called the Creative Tech Expo. Starting on Friday, we're going to have something big, an MVP pitch party. We're going to have on Saturday, we're going to have the Creative Tech Expo right here in Jonesboro. It's going to be real big. And we're going to even have some different people come and talk and everything. my part in it, as I was saying, is I'm going to be teaching how to do DJing and teaching how to do podcast production. Because the thing is, as we do deal with the youth, more and more we realize that they don't have a lot of options. So we wanted to make sure we give them options, career choices, and basically, yeah, give them some more inspiration and know what's more out there. So let us know about Urban Tech and what they're doing from Chicago and bringing it to Atlanta. Zaki.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for providing this platform. I want to just jump right in with what the event is really showcasing. You know, we are an amazing community of leaders, of tech entrepreneurs, of creatives who are identifying real world problems, and we have provided solutions. And essentially, Creative Tech Expo is a space to celebrate that, that ingenuity, that those accomplishments, but also make sure that everyone is visible. Sometimes we have these tech expos, we have these events, and only certain people are at the table, only certain people on the stage, from certain experiences with access to, the network. So we're talking about on Friday night, we are celebrating, bringing all the movers and shakers. We're presenting a pitch party for MVPs. Most viable product is that first beta launch when you are just wanting to get your stuff out there. And so we got 3 companies, Black led, 2 brothers and a sister, just presenting their work. And we're going to be doing a live voting, and that's how they're going to split the pot of money. You vote, and whatever those percentages are, they get to walk home with that. On day 2, we have an amazing just a community of organizations who are presenting, their activities. Urban Tech Academy is leading the charge with a lot of the robotics and the drones and the gaming techs and all those different things. And we're just excited to have everyone here. I'm going to pass it off to Patrick.
Yes, so Urban Tech Academy, what we do is we go to community centers, park districts, schools, and we bring technology, the latest innovation to your youth. And we also do workforce development training and IT for adults. But this Tech Expo is all about bringing families together, bringing youth together. So all of the things that they experience in the schools, they're able to display it and further explore in one location, under one roof, where there's Black tech professionals that's bringing the latest in technologies to your children. And as adults, you're welcome to come as well. So how do you support this cause? You can go to urbantechacademy.org and support our youth, because we will be providing buses to different locations, picking students up, bringing them to the expo and returning them back safely to their home. But at the end of the day, they're going to have a wonderful experience, and they're going to be talking about it for years to come. So once again, urbantechacademy.org, you can support the organization, you can support the youth, and furthermore, you can support all Blacks in tech.
No doubt. And make sure at the end of this, you put that in the chat so everybody can, log on to see what's going on. And this is a beautiful thing, because I've been following the movement, and you've been in the urban, I'm talking about the hard hoods of Chicago, and now we're bringing it here to Atlanta, and it's a beautiful thing. How has this whole experience changed your lives?
Well, I'll start off by that. This was a vision that was too big for me. It started in Chicago in 2017. It was just a grandiose idea because I saw the gaps. People couldn't find the programs that are right next door to them. Certain people were getting put on, certain people were getting sponsorships by big corporations, and the visibility wasn't there. And so just in moving in faith, I'll just, put it out there. Like, this has changed my life. It's changed the trajectory of my life. I'm just honored. I'm honored to even just have the opportunity to partner with these amazing organizations, to bring this here. And I'm still changing. Let's just say that.
All right.
And for me, the most important thing is putting a Black face on technology. Because when we think about Facebook and all of these other platforms that people are launching, Google, a lot of times we're being left out, and we're the least represented in the tech space, and we're probably the most exploited in terms of our intellectual property. So this is a way for us to give back and put a Black face on technology, as well as show them that young people that you can dream big and the future is yours. And you don't have to travel outside your community to have a good time and understand technology. We can bring it right to your doorstep.
No doubt. And we got some pretty dope sponsors. Speaking of pretty dope, we got God is Dope as a sponsor. We got the Pinky Cole Foundation, Slutty Vegan as a sponsor. And also Black Power Media will be sponsoring and showing a live on Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. talking to the kids, talking to the different people that's coming to talk about tech. So make sure y'all tune in Saturday also and check that out. You know what I'm saying? Listen, y'all got anything else y'all want to say before y'all get out of here?
If you want more information, you want to get tickets, we have, we want you just to come. How about that? CreativeTechExpo.com. You get all the address and information. We're like we said earlier, we're in Jonesboro. Like, we're here and so excited to meet you.
Yeah. Zaki?
Yes, just come and see the youth enjoying themselves. And as adults, you can have a little fun and entertain yourself as well.
All right. And also, real quick before you get out of here, you're also working with people that get fresh out of jail and adults too on different aspects. Could you drop that real quick?
Yes, real quick. So part of Urban Tech Initiative is to work with the underserved. We go into the most underserved communities and we work with everyone that's looking for opportunity. If you want to do adult workforce development training in IT, get experience and get that entry-level job to make money, whether you have a blemish on your record, we can support you in that and get you employed. So our goal is to improve everyone's quality of life from our youth to our adults.
No doubt. Appreciate it and keep putting in that work. And we're going to tear it down this weekend. And make sure y'all tune in Saturday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. to check out what we're doing. Thank you all for joining us today. Now let's get back to the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, my man.
Hey, I really appreciate that for all the work that they do in the hood by opening space up for people with records. They make room for all these rich white felons to come in and get some IT training. Like, I appreciate, like, Donald Trump and all of his kids can come in there. They're not prohibited. I appreciate that. That's really open and, beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
What are you saying, Jared?
Brother's blasphemy.
I'm saying that having passed through a couple of rich white private schools, I've seen where the real crime and drug activity is.
Yes.
Private
schools are those.
So every time I hear somebody make, some space for people with records, as many of these white folks, sometimes, actually, maybe they don't get the records. They go to rehab and, but anyway, sometimes they get a record and they need a little gig.
Big up to Kenyatta for dropping something right here, $4.99. Big up Kenyatta.
Right on.
Yo, but the whole thing, like we were really trying to say, is basically opening some doors for a lot of people, showing them different options of what you can do, and especially since this whole future is tech and it's a lot less physical labor. Got to open up some different doors. It's not because we are known for physical labor. So with a whole lot of the stuff going into intellectual, we got to make sure we're ready for whatever comes to us. So that's what it is. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
All right. I appreciate you here, Doctor.
Remix Morning Show. Beautiful place
Speaking
to be.
of physical labor. That's a segue for the tennis story. You get it? Tennis.
Nice. Listen, we want to correct mistakes we make here at the platform. And I know I engaged in a conversation a little while ago about this movie, having not seen it, and figured, got a couple hours, let me make it happen. Can't sleep, got insomnia, whatever, let me throw on, boy, oh boy. This is so for me, this is really an issue, like I keep coming back to. We have and again, why I honestly end up giving a little more room to some of the younger folks coming up in this environment, because I think it is so much more difficult now to identify, if not problems, identify analyses that will address these problems properly. Like, this is crazy. So as I'm watching this, And no disrespect to Richard Williams, who is, if I saw correctly, is suffering, having survived 2 strokes, and is dealing with some dementia, and is living with a son of his who was constantly described in the press apparently as missing. A son from another marriage that doesn't get a lot of attention is now taking care of Richard Williams. Having seen, oddly enough, with my daughters, the original Netflix documentary about the Williams, where I showed it to my daughters intentionally because of the way I thought Richard Williams came off well in that documentary, and how he exemplified things I had intended and in some ways have done in the years since we first watched it, implemented in our household. For instance, when in that documentary he makes clear, and Venus is on camera, I think at one point, is saying, we got to the point as youngsters where we didn't even ask if we could go here or go there or go to this place or go to that, because we knew we were not going to be allowed. He had established, some rules and this, that, and the third. So something, the way he defended them, the way he stood up for them, and in particular, 2 things that were absent in this film. One, a story that Richard Williams tells of that reminds me oddly of a slightly less severe version of what Malcolm's father is said to have died from on the train tracks, where these white boys take Richard Williams as a young boy, which is why he limped. He still limps, and beat him up and put him on did something to his knee. I can't remember exactly, on a train track, but like he was like beaten, like permanently wounded, by white violence. And the second thing that is not in this movie is a scene where in real life you see Serena Williams being called the N-word on the court, and her father getting up and going at the people in the crowd and then taking her off the court, which were like these key, And the reason I bring that up is to say that what we end up getting in this movie, first of all, reminds me in Will Smith's portrayal of him as Bagger Vance Part 2. I was like if you like Bagger Vance as an older man, like what happens to the Magic Negro when he gets older? And even though you see Richard Williams in some slick, he makes his moves and stuff, the way he deals, it's like this shuffling Tom approach to whiteness, to white people. And then on screen, the only violence you see him suffer is at the hands of black thugs in LA. So it's again this same thing of he's overcoming the hood and escaping, even as he brings a certain braggadocio and strength, he's escaping the hood and all these black hoodlums into the rich white world. Even the way in their neighborhood, the black woman that lives across the street is like the main antagonist. Not, so it's like the white violence that he suffered, that he says in his own life was key to his own view of the world, is reduced to a quickly told, not even this version, this story wasn't even told, like another version told later on. But on screen, we'd see the guns and the brothers beat him down, and it's them calling each other the N-word. So it's not white folks. So it's like a very slick, and to the point where I was saying, Kamal, you had perfectly laid a segue for us, is that you also see he even has at one point all of these, and I should back up for a second. I'm sorry. Let me just back up one quick second. And if I can share this, I would just want to say, because there are some positives here that I definitely want to shout out. In particular, the casting and the performance of the women and the girls in the film. So the ones who play Venus and Serena, Demi Singleton and Sania Sidney, am I saying that correctly? And and their mother, I'm not sure how to say her name. Is that Anjanou Ellis? Is that how you say her name?
Yeah, Anjanou.
Yeah. I just remember her sister
dope.
Girl from from Undercover Brother. But anyway, she was also in Lovecraft Country, right? Wasn't she in that also? Where else did I just see her recently? Something else. Anyway, they're all great in this. And there's a powerful scene where she stands up to Richard and is like in checking him on his attitude and how he behaves and this, that, and the third. Like there's some really, and the girls in particular, I thought were not only well cast, but however they shot the scenes of them playing tennis, either they know really how to play or however they hooked it up, it looked really good. The sports scene, actually, that's another good point. I thought the sports scenes were done really well. That is not always the case in movies that features sports. They don't always look right. So all of that I thought was done well. All of that kind of stuff I thought was done well, and shout out to them for it. But to that point come out, they had, and honestly, I saw that there. I don't remember him in there. I don't know. So I might have, maybe I looked away for a minute, or his role was that quick. I don't remember, but I don't remember him playing maybe somebody in the chat will correct me on that, but I don't remember him playing I don't remember him at all, actually. But there's a scene where, to teach the girls a lesson about bragging, he sits them all down and has them watch Disney's Cinderella. And at the end of I see your face. And at the end of the movie, the point that he wants them to get from it is that no matter how those people treated her, she always behaved with humility and quiet and, didn't, make a, ruckus. So even as he would go at, I don't know, it was like this, and I'm sitting there saying, that's the lesson. And then I said, and that's like the signature lesson that comes across in the movie. Like, this is like a scene. Like, this is like a, it's not like a passing thing. He has a big argument. In fact, he threatens to leave them. He's going to drive them away and make them walk 3 miles home to teach them not to brag, even though at 14 years old, they're beating all of these top professionals. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is. And it seems to come across to me like this is clearly what the movie wants to. And it's that same kind of Black people must suffer indignity in this way, even though, as I pointed out, in the real life documentary that you see in that other Netflix, oddly enough, piece, he walks her off. First of all, I don't even know how, I honestly can't even imagine what it must be like to be in that setting. Hear somebody call your daughter the N-word. And then I think he says something to the dude and then they leave, or he like lets it be known that he like challenges him, but how he didn't, aggress even beyond that, or how. Anyway, but my point is, even when you go through something that strong, the message we get in this movie is humility, quiet, don't,
which is weird because that's not his public persona, right? His public persona is known as the reason he was vilified in media was because basically the idea was that he wouldn't just shut the fuck up and allow his daughters their play to do all the talking kind of thing. Like he wouldn't suffer the slings and arrows of belligerent white society or people saying things. Again, this is not about, his personal life, whatever, and all the stuff that was happening. But his media persona as brought to us was that this loud Black man needs to shut up because he's interfering with the career trajectory and potentially the advertising dollars that his daughters could make, because he's making them controversial, where they should be pivoted towards kind of like these docile Black women who are winning these titles and so grateful and they should be so thankful that they've been allowed to play in our elite sport and win these titles and so forth, like almost like they're the Jackie Robinsons. Obviously, we know it was Althea Gibson prior, but almost as if they were like modern day Jackie Robinson types who needed to accept all that was done to them so that they could prosper in the sport. So that's interesting that the movie portrayal, which I have not seen, but I'm not surprised by the projected narrative that you're describing, of course, because I still think that's like at least 65 to 70% of Black filmmaking, even the ones about the hood, is about escaping from the hood, leaving the hood. Everybody's dragging you down. no talk about what causes the conditions, but all about the
Exactly.
the violence within. But the job is to get out of it and to move next to white folks. Basically, if you do that, you're now successful. It's the Horatio Alger thing times 10 for us. It's like that, and we promote it because now it's intuitive to us around the culture that's the culture that we promote, right? We out the hood, or even if we retain hood elements, we still live next to white folks, or we buy jewelry from Jacob the jeweler. So now we've made it, right? So I'm not surprised by that narrative. I am a little bit surprised to I'll try to go watch it. Is that they've now made him it sounds like a relatively docile public figure, but a Joe Clark version on his daughters or whatever.
That's really what, or almost a little bit, almost slightly the opposite. In other words, like you do see the fire when he's dealing with the white folks in the tennis industry and in the media. I mean, he's very. I mean, it's that's what drew me to want to emulate that as a father when we watched the documentary years ago. That in protecting his daughter's self-confidence and what he had put in them to become strong women, obviously with his wife, who's shown, I think, very well and more involved than I ever thought in terms of preparing them for tennis in the world and all this blah blah blah. But when it comes to teaching them how to be successful, and this is sort of the point, it's almost like, and he even says, and there's a point, because one of the other notes I have here is that which to me was one of the most painful moments to watch, is that he recounts, as I said, there's no white violence shown, but in one of the moments where he recounts what he suffered as a youngster, he does it to tell a story of his own father's cowardice. So in other words, he tells about being jumped by these white men, and how his father ran away and left him to be beaten. And the point of him sharing that story was not to tell his daughters about necessarily the whiteness of the world, but of the country, but of the kind of father he didn't want to be to them. So on the one hand, I get that, but without the rest of it saying like, yes, I don't like the way my father reacted, but that isn't ultimately what is the problem here. The problem is he's that he was having to respond to 5 or 10 grown white men jumping me. Like that is, again, nobody's thrilled about how his father was described, but it's the point is, you have to describe him in this way, and you have to then sacrifice yourself as Richard Williams to then pass along the success, the method or the formula for success to your children, which is do not fight back. So on the one hand, you're saying my father was a coward for not fighting back, but then you're telling them maybe not so much to not fight back, but to fight back in quiet honor and humility. Which it was, oh man, it was just so disturbing. Even as I'm sitting there saying they're having to deal with and confront something I can't even imagine. I mean, at 14 years old, 13, 14, 15, and all the other things that are going on. But anyway, it's just such a slick. Oh, and then lastly, the reason why nobody's talking about like the kids that are other children that aren't mentioned, the other affairs and all this other stuff, is that the film, I think, to be fair to it, skillfully makes clear we're only dealing with these 3 years. So the film ends with Serena's even before she starts taking off. It's like ends with Venus's stepping onto the stage, you know what I mean? Like so it's a very narrow window that we're getting of their lives and their story. And I think intentionally, and to do what I'm saying was done.
Wow. So, I mean, it had to be made palatable for white folks. We got to keep that in mind.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
that's part of the whole entertainment process. And let's face it, America loves stories of, coming from the bowels of, anybody can pull themselves up by their bootstrap. That's the whole, what we talked about with your man, Roland. You know what I mean? These Negroes that say just vote your way out, or you just have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, so on and so forth. That's cool if you got boots to pull your damn straps up on. You know what I'm saying? But in the real world, most folks who talk about that particular life haven't experienced that life. You know what I'm saying? And I say that because of the fact that there are places in every major cities, I would argue, Atlanta in particular, I mean, as one of those cities because of the fact that they refer to it as the Black Mecca, where you can go and you can actually see what a true hood is like compared to, these made for television versions. You know what I'm saying? So, of course it's gonna give you what you already know about them, the aggressive dad. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, they're not going to give you enough of, what part of this white supremacist construct that he's up against and that that they had to deal with in order to go where they are now or be where they are.
Hey, is what Ear Doctor is sharing in the private chat accurate about the definition of the word humble, the actual dictionary definition? Because if that's correct, that's fascinating. Is the definition you said is having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance? Well, damn, I don't want to be humble either. Is that
That might be
actually,
one definition.
anyway.
I'm not sure if that's the only definition of what people
I don't
interpret
want
as the word humble.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm not mad at being humble. I'm cool with being humble. The issue is being
well, not if it means having a low estimate of my own importance.
Well, I'm not accepting that as the only definition of humble.
It's humble and different between humble and castrated.
Yeah,
humble, I don't got a problem with humble. I don't have a problem even when people can rightfully boast about the things that they've done, within a range of a limit, right? And that's acceptable. It's not like you're driving me crazy when you talk about yourself so much or whatever. But getting back to the major theme of what you're talking about is what you both have mentioned. So the hood stays the hood, and cats are busy killing themselves and knifing themselves and killing each other.
Oh, we even get a drive-by, Kamal. I'm just saying we even get to see a drive-by.
Yeah,
they give us everything.
It's all their fault. It's all their fault. And the only solution for the good Negroes is to get the hell out of there. And and that continues to be like, oh my God, white people see it at home. What a dangerous neighborhood they live in. It's so great.
Let's go buy it. Let's still gentrify it. As soon as they're killing us,
exactly.
Lock them up. You know what I'm saying? Well, the successful Negroes run away from the hood, and the successful crackers run to the hood to buy the hood, and it's no longer the hood. So
and it gets you out the hood to another hood, right? There's now, because now the new model is the French model. We're gonna get you out the hood and create a new hood that's not as close to the city anymore, right? It's not as close to services anymore, not as close to jobs anymore, not as close to public transportation. We really don't care what you do as long as you get the Starbucks on time to make me my coffee because I got to go to my corporate job. And that's kind of like the way of the world, right?
And by the way, shout out to
in the janitorial office at 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. and it's shiny and new, and I get back to my corporate office the next day. We are good.
No doubt.
And shout out to the Starbucks workers that won the right to unionize this past week. Anyway, speak. So it's wild, man.
And the movie was made with the backing of the family, right? There's the family.
Yeah, they supported it, and there was even
this narrative, yeah. Which I think we don't like to talk. People don't like to talk about, sort of, again, including Richard and the two sisters, Venus and Serena. They have adopted the corporate attitude and world, right? They've adopted that as their motif of life and living, and they themselves, they only like so many Black folks who get to prominence, they'll use Black injustice when they see it happening to them, And I think Serena has used even the injustices of being a Black woman when they think it's happening to them. But I don't think I've ever heard or barely heard them use or talk or do work that other than service work in their community, right? So I think that's another staple. Like, you can talk, when it hits you and it clicks in for you, you're going to come back now and start talking about what you see as racial prejudice or injustice, but usually it's only about how it refers to you. You can't broaden it out to the larger context of like that hood you came from. That's not about black people killing each other. That's about that very same racial oppression that you see manifesting itself in a single act towards your tennis career.
I mean, listen, and I certainly don't disagree with any of that, but I don't care, or I don't put anything on them for their personal decisions. And I don't begrudge them having or wanting to tell their version of their story. But I do have a problem with the way I think their story is being used in many ways, just like so many others, as a bludgeon against the more righteous levels of struggle I think we need to get to. And that's how I think the story is being used. And I mean, the film is very much about, I mean, and within it, this is what makes it complicated. There are beautiful moments with the sisterhood and the relationship that they have. And I mean, and I'm deeply moved by what they have had to deal with growing up. That is not only just the race or the gender piece, but just being so young and so famous, or so and so talented to the point where you are thrust and feel compelled to step onto these huge stages. And they do make a good point where Richard Williams is seen, I think, brilliantly holding them back from suffering the fate specifically of Jennifer Capriati and in other young tennis players whose careers fall apart amidst drugs and jails and worse, because they're too young, too famous, too soon. So all of that is I think powerful in it, but it's just wrapped in this, I think, very dangerous messaging, which again is how it gets where it gets. And then I agree. And then to your point, to a certain extent, like Beyonce and others, regardless of their own individual politics, they are held up as symbols by many as some sort of progressive statement. And right. When in the end the film is very much like it's a lottery ticket thing. Like if the hood is horrible, but if you have two children who will become literally the best ever in something, you know what I mean? Like you can make it. It's like right. The rest of you who don't have kids who are the best ever at something.
You know what too, man? I think the one thing we don't often point out either is the level of insulation. And being so insulated that you lose touch with the rest of reality because of the fact that you're so protected, you're so guarded. You know what I'm saying? You're not seeing certain things because of the fact that that's no longer your world or your reality. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with capitalism. It'll confuse you. You know what I'm saying? And it make you think that advancement means the more people that are screaming for you and the more security you have and the more like I said, insulation. You don't know how cold it is outside because of the fact that you're so sheltered, you're so protected, you're so safe. You know what I'm saying? And then the people that you've chosen to be with you, they're giving you false narratives and realities or skewed realities of what's going on in the real world. You know what I mean? Now, that's not to defend their position or any of that type shit. I'm just saying the realities of coming up, quote unquote, a child star. Because you notice, like with many of these quote unquote children who come, who grow into their wealth and their riches and their fame, oftentimes they're children who, in some cases, that try to make an effort to go back to regular life, quote unquote. Many of them end up getting caught out in different situations because of the fact that now they're dealing with different types of people and they're trying to fit in and they end up being asked out. And then you have the others who are so safeguarded and protected that they're thrust further into the capitalist society and they actually forget literally where they came from because of the fact that, like Hansel and Gretel, someone ate the breadcrumbs. The shit is gone. You can't find your way back anymore. You know what I'm saying? You're caught in this other level, but it's this other reality. You know what I'm saying? So
But let me tell you something, Kalonji. It's very difficult because, you know, when I was rocking with Mama's Biscuits and we hit those heights between 1997 and 1999 in Western Maryland, and we would have these packed bars rocking with us, the next day there is a hangover effect, not only literally from the drinking and whatever else, but from the vibe is gone. Like the nobody's chanting your name anymore. Nobody. So I can only imagine what it's like when you go from those heights to regular life and try to find the breadcrumbs coming back. I'm still trying to find the breadcrumbs back from those, you know, where I was.
Yeah.
I'll say lastly on this for me. And I do what, you know, and I like to guy anybody, you want family that's going to protect you. And that family, even as they were protected, they saw a lot happen even after they became famous. If I'm remembering correctly, the sister who was killed in the hood or whatever. So that the family, you know, it's understandable from anybody's point of view that you're trying to make your family, get your family to a certain place, right? I don't begrudge that either. But, you know, obviously people have agency, they accept ideas. And so therefore, in my opinion, they take responsibility for decisions that have been made and ideas that they help put out there that make the next generation just as potentially lost as they were, in my humble opinion, in terms of what the narrative around your community should be, what we all owe to our communities and our people. So in that respect, you know, that one, I think again, as folks who are talking about how people interact with the larger public and what the larger public see, you know, it's our role to call that out or to say something about it and talk about it. And I think the movie probably particularly does center on certain years because as making Richard humble and or presenting him in a certain light means that you have to exclude other more complicated aspects of his life. That's you know, so that's also, there's no accident, not by him and or the family, and that's no accident by the movie makers who, you know, were interested in a particular version of events that they thought would sell soap. So,
hey, and like they used to say back in the day, and that's entertainment. That's all, folks. You've been checking out the RemiX Morning Show on Black Power Media. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share. Make sure you, if you feel it in your hearts, your minds, your soul, and your wallet, make sure you go to Patreon and drop something in the bucket because we're trying to employ folks around here. And we don't care what any of the corporate sponsors say. We don't care what Roland Martin Bubblehead says. I don't care if it's 909 people checking out what it is we're doing, as long as we are able to politicize and continue to do the work that we were born to do. We appreciate you all support. You know what I'm saying? Go to our channel, Black Power Media. Get caught up on some of the past episodes. We got close to 1,000 different videos right now with all types of different individuals, you know, and different organizations. And again, we appreciate your support. Black Power Media, RemiX Morning Show.
See you tomorrow. Peace. RemiX.